spiritual, and this is something that I really appreciate, that, when I read the anti-communist literature of the Unification Church, there's a critique of the Marxist philosophy of dialectical materialism, which I never really believed in, and I never really took it seriously. And I came back to my Christian faith in 2015, and I never really got to the essence of that. But dialectical materialism says that all change comes through conflict, right? All change is through conflict. And because of that, right, it leads to a kind of destructive way of being. And that, when you look at the woke people, they don't like North Korea, they don't like Stalin, they don't like Russia, but they still have that mindset of like, we're going to go out and fight everybody, and we've been wronged, and so we're going to take down the people who wronged us. And they have this kind of vengeful, rage-filled politics. And that is, in a way, a descendant of Marxism, even though they don't really believe in Marx's economic theories or anything like that, but they carry with them like the spiritual energy of Marxism. Whereas the communist countries, especially after the Second World War, a lot of them realized that you can't build a society that way. The Cultural Revolution in China was an absolute disaster, right? Where basically everyone was being told to rebel, right? And students were persecuting their teachers, and children were turning in their parents, and everyone was terrified of being attacked. It was almost like mob rule. And that, in China now, if you listen to the ideology they espouse, they're not preaching rebellion. They're preaching kind of unity, like we're one nation, all coming together. And the other thing, I mean, my new book that I'm going to read from later, this is about, it's called Mystical Stalinism, because in Russia now, a lot of people really like Stalin. Stalin is wildly popular, but most of the people who like Stalin are not communists. There's like a small communist party in Russia. It's one of the major political parties, but it's got like maybe a fourth of the seats in the parliament. They like Stalin because they think he was a communist. But a lot of Russians believe that Stalin converted to Christianity, which is not the official position of the Russian government, which is actually not the Russian Orthodox Church's position, but there's legends of Christian Stalin throughout Russia, and that people see Stalin when he broke with Trotsky and Trotsky's theory of the permanent revolution, and the way Stalin kind of unified the nation to drive out the Nazi invaders. They see that as almost an expression of Stalin, like kind of breaking with the dialectical Marxist way of doing things and kind of embracing kind of Christian and Russian Orthodox values. I find that to be really, really fascinating. And I wish, this book is just kind of just barely, it's mainly touching on it in relation to the American communist movement at the time and how it changed. But I almost wish I had time to go over to Russia and just really investigate this legend, because I find it fascinating. Like, there are churches where they have images of Stalin with a halo around his head. There are legends. There are people who survived the Battle of Stalingrad or World War II and say they saw angels like shooting down Nazi tanks with lightning bolts and things like that. It's fascinating to me.